when a ruthless biker gang picked the wrong trucker to mess with. They thought it'd be an easy win until the fat guy turned the tables in the most unexpected way. Like, subscribe, and share. It was a hot afternoon on Highway 87, and the trucker, a guy named Carl, was hauling a load of steel pipes across state lines. Carl was a big man, over 300 pounds, with a gut that hung over his belt and arms thick from years of wrestling heavy cargo. He wasn't the type to start trouble, but he wasn't one to back down either. That day, he had no idea what was coming. The biker gang rolled up behind him, 6 of them, all leather jackets, loud engines, and bad attitudes. They called themselves the Iron Vipers, a name they thought made them sound tough. Their leader, a wiry guy named Razor, had a scar across his cheek and a smirk that never quit. His crew, Snake, Bulldog, Twitch, Spike, and a new guy they just called Kid, followed him like dogs on a leash. They've been riding for hours, high on adrenaline and cheap beer, looking for someone to mess with. Carl's rig, a beat-up old Freightliner with a faded blue paint job, caught their eye. Razor gunned his engine and pulled up alongside Carl's truck, the others fanning out behind him. Carl glanced out his window and saw them grinning like jackals. He didn't think much of it at first. Bikers were always buzzing around highways like flies. But then Razor started yelling, "Hey, fat man," Razor shouted over the roar of his Harley. "You hogging the whole damn road or what?" Carl kept his eyes ahead, gripping the wheel. He wasn't in the mood for this. "Just doing my job, pal," he called back, loud enough to be heard. "Why don't you ride on?" That set Razor off. He didn't like being dismissed. "You hear that, boys?" he yelled to his crew. "Big man thinks he's too good for us." The others laughed, rubbing their bikes louder. Snake, a tall guy with a shaved head and a snake tattoo curling up his neck, pulled closer to the truck. "Pull over, pork chop," Snake hollered. "We want to have a little chat." Carl's jaw tightened. He wasn't scared. Not yet, but he was getting pissed. "I ain't stopping for you clowns," he shot back. "Go find someone else to play with." That was the wrong thing to say. Razor's smirk vanished, replaced by a snarl. "You're going to regret that, Tubby," he growled. He nodded at Bulldog, a stocky guy with a beard and a chain dangling from his belt. Bulldog sped up, cutting in front of Carl's truck and slowing down, forcing Carl to brake hard. The steel pipes in the back clanged together, and Carl cursed under his breath. "What the hell's your problem?" Carl yelled out the window. "You trying to get us all killed? Shut your mouth and pull over," Bulldog barked, swinging his chain like he meant business. The others closed in, boxing Carl's rig between them. Twitch, a skinny guy with a twitchy eye, pulled out a crowbar and waved it at the truck's side mirror. Spike, all muscle and no brains, started smacking his fist into his palm, grinning like an idiot. Kid, the youngest, just followed along, trying to look tough. Carl had no choice. He wasn't about to ram them off the road and risk his load or his life. He eased the truck onto the shoulder, dust kicking up around the tires. The bikers pulled up around him, engines rumbling, and hopped off their bikes. Carl stayed in the cab for a second, sizing them up through the window. 6 against 1, bad odds, but he wasn't the type to beg. Razor strode up to the driver's side door and banged on it with his fists. "Get out, fatso," he shouted. "We're going to teach you some respect." Carl took a deep breath and opened the door. He climbed down, his boots hitting the gravel hard. At 6'2" and built like a bear, he towered over Razor, who barely scraped 5'9". The biker stepped back a little, surprised by his size, but Razor didn't flinch. "You got a big mouth for a big guy," Razor sneered, poking Carl in the chest. "What's your deal, huh? Think you own this highway?" Carl swatted Razor's hand away. "I'm just trying to get my load delivered," he said, his voice low and steady. "You're the one with the problem." Razor laughed, but it was a mean, sharp sound. "Oh, we got a problem, all right. You?" He turned to his crew. "What do you say, boys? Should we show this pig what happens when he talks back?" "Hell yeah," Snake yelled, cracking his knuckles. "Let's mess him up. Gonna make you squeal, fatty," Bulldog added, swinging his chain again. Carl's eyes narrowed. He didn't want to fight, but he wasn't about to let these punks walk all over him. "You sure you want to do this?" he asked, looking straight at Razor. "Last chance to ride off." Razor spat on the ground. "You threatening me, Tubby? You outnumbered dumbass? We're going to break you in half." That's when it started. Snake lunged first, swinging a wild punch at Carl's face. Carl ducked, just barely, and grabbed Snake's arm, twisting it hard. Snake yelped, stumbling back. But Bulldog was already coming in with the chain. It caught Carl across the shoulder, and he grunted in pain, but he didn't go down. Instead, he grabbed the chain mid-swing, yanked it out of the bulldog's hands, and tossed it into the dirt. Holy shit, Twitch shouted, jumping back. This guy's nuts. Get him, Razor roared, pulling a knife from his belt. He slashed at Carl, aiming for his gut, but Carl sidestepped and slammed his elbow into Razor's face. Blood sprayed from Razor's nose, and he staggered, cursing. You broke my damn nose, Razor screamed, clutching his face. You're dead, you hear me? Dead? Spike charged next, all muscle and fury, tackling Carl like a linebacker. They hit the ground hard, gravel digging into Carl's back. Spike started pounding on him, fists flying, but Carl got his arms up, blocking most of the blows. Then, with a grunt, he heaved Spike off him, sending the biker sprawling into the dirt. Stay down, you idiot, Carl growled, getting to his feet. His shoulder was bleeding where the chain hit, and his knuckles were scraped, but he wasn't done. The bikers hesitated. This wasn't going how they planned. Carl was big, sure, but they didn't expect him to fight back like this. Kid, the new guy, looked like he wanted to run. Razor, maybe we should. He started, but Razor cut him off. Shut up, kid, Razor snapped, wiping blood from his face. We ain't done yet. He pointed at Carl. You think you're tough, huh? Twitch Spike, get him. Twitch swung the crowbar, but Carl caught it midair, ripped it from Twitch's hands, and threw it into the bushes. Spike came at him again, but Carl grabbed him by the collar, lifted him off the ground, and slammed him into the side of the truck. Spike slid down, groaning. Anyone else? Carl asked, breathing heavy, but standing tall. His shirt was torn, blood trickled down his arm, but his eyes were fire. That's when things flipped. Razor, still holding his knife, charged again, screaming like a maniac. But Carl was ready. He grabbed Razor's wrists, twisted it until the knife dropped, and then punched him square in the chest. Razor hit the ground hard, gasping for air. Please, Razor wheezed, holding up a hand. Stop, we're done. Carl loomed over him, fists clenched. You sure about that? 'Cause I can keep going. Snake, clutching his twisted arm, dropped to his knees. Man, we're sorry. We didn't mean it. Just let us go. Bulldog, still smarting from losing his chain, nodded fast. Yeah, we're cool. No more trouble, I swear. Twitch was shaking, his crowbar long gone. Please, dude, don't hurt us. We're begging you. Spike, slumped against the truck, just groaned. I think my ribs are broke. Mercy, man, mercy. Kid was already backpedaling toward the bikes. I didn't even want to do this. Razor made me. Please don't kill us. Carl stood there, chest heaving, looking at the mess around him. 6 tough guys reduced to whimpering wrecks in minutes. He wiped blood from his lip and shook his head. You picked the wrong day to mess with me, he said. Now get the hell out of here before I change my mind. Razor scrambled to his feet, still clutching his nose. You're crazy, man. You're freaking crazy, he yelled, but he was already running for his bike. The others followed, limping and cursing, engines roaring to life as they peeled out onto the highway. Carl watched them go, then climbed back into his truck. He sat there for a minute, catching his breath before keying the radio. Dispatch, this is Carl, he said. Had a little trouble on 87. I'm fine, but I'm going to be late. Tell the boss. I'll explain when I get there. And that was it. The Iron Vipers never came back that way again. A word got around fast. Don't mess with the fat trucker on Highway 87. He didn't look like much, but he'd make you regret it.